Dude, the freaking pitcher that I use to keep my tea sucks. Every time I use it, it spills all over the place. You know that thing where like you like say you have a measuring cup and then you're pouring and then like runs down the side of the cup. Don't even get me started. It's Mariah season. I'm one of those people that shamelessly play her full blast in the car with the windows down. No, it's not cold outside. You Californians are just weak. Oh my gosh, today I made him. If you know Twice, I tried to make him do the dance for the feels, like the feels dance where they're like, I got other feels for you. I'm not gonna sing it because it's copyright, but you know. The feels. Twice. Listen to it. It's a good song. Hi. Hello. So, in today's pick a card or pick an essential oil reading because I'm a material girl, we're going to ask, who is your higher self? Somebody requested this in my last community post, and I was like, that is such a good idea. You guys have such good ideas. I'm gonna do that. And the more I thought about it, the more excited I got because I was like, okay, this is nice. I like this idea. So, yes, we're here. And yeah, like, I'm gonna keep doing the reading style that I've been doing in like the past 2 videos until I find another one or until I try to experiment. But I was like, I really like this reading style. It's really straightforward but pretty effective in my eyes. So I was like, let me do it. So yeah, we have these piles here. So for pile 1, we have Stimulate. It's like lemon zest. Oh my gosh, I'm such a YouTuber. And then for pile 2, we have Sleep, Serene. I've had these things for years. I got them in like high school, and I'm like, you know. And this one's called Spa Room Blend, Tranquil. Yeah, I like all of these. These are very nice. That's why I picked them. I was like, yeah, I have expensive taste. But yeah, you know, if you've picked your pile, go for it. Have fun. But if you want to listen to me ramble, hi. I was very surprised because someone commented they like my rambling. And I was like, wow, thank you. People are listening to that. But y'all, manifest with me that my freaking registration stickers come like now. I'm tired of waiting. But it's kind of like okay because every time I go out, I see somebody else with registration stickers that from October. So I'll be feeling kind of like, you know, like not as alone. So yeah. And I feel like the past maybe like 2 days have been kind of groggy, kind of slow. I don't know, not doing very much. I was like, wow, like I feel unproductive, but that's okay because we're all really grinding just so we can just sit there and be shamelessly unproductive. So I was like, let me just enjoy this. Let me just savor this. But yeah, hope my registration stickers come in. I hope that I don't know. And that it just all works out. I'm going down maybe like Tuesday or Wednesday or maybe both to go do more stand up, chasing those dreams. But yeah, I don't know. That's really all I have to ramble about. I don't really know what I was gonna say. Y'all, wait before we cut it off. So I went to a few stores, and I wasn't planning on buying anything. Okay, I was just gonna buy a new diary because my current one's getting a little full. And I didn't find the diary. What I did find is a cute zip up and a sweater, but they were both on sale. I saved like $35. I was shook. I was like, this is it. It was meant to be. I didn't feel guilty at all. And I still don't feel guilty because I'm about to go out later and wear one of my new fits that I was thinking about and just slay these hoes. So yeah, let's get right into this reading. Thank you. Ooh, pile 1. If you chose the Lemon Zest Stimulate Essential Oil, this is going to be your reading. Oh my god, I refilmed your reading so many times now. I'm about to go Joker mode. I just did the laundry to calm myself down, but I'm feeling it now. I was ruminating about it. I was like, all right, we got this. I know exactly what I'm doing. So let's get right into your reading. We got 2 Oracle cards here. Anyways, we have the Bear and we have Muse of Dance. So right off the bat, pile 1, let's just talk about the Bear card, okay? Because I feel like it's very important for me to elaborate both of these energies before I kind of like, you know, like make them go together. So with the Bear card, this card talks a lot about, hibernation, resting, and kind of getting an energy to start moving and to start, like being on the go. And once on the go, it's a very unstoppable, very powerful energy, one that is very motivated to growth and awakenings. And obviously a bear can be kind of like a lazy energy, especially like during the winter because of hibernation. But I also feel like when motivated and when inspired, it's an unstoppable energy, a great force of nature. And then we have the Muse of Dance here. And while I was reading up on this card, I was kind of absorbing the fact that it's about creativity and getting yourself to move and learning about how to move. And, it kind of talked about how in the 1900s, it was kind of this subtle expectation to know how to dance and how to move, how to get your body going, letting loose. And because of that, there was kind of like this air of like a societal construct, you know what I'm saying? By saying that everyone was kind of expected to learn how to dance properly and how to sing properly. And because of that, and the way that the bear card's literally looking at the card, pile one, I feel like your higher self is an energy that definitely is very unique and one that has its own way of going about things. And because of that, I feel like the way these cards work together is that it's about aligning your methods it's about aligning your outcomes with what's expected of you, what every other energy is doing. And what I mean by that is obviously there's kind of like an expected way for you to move about life and navigate and kind of have your epiphanies, and kind of it almost seems as if though there's kind of this subtle expectation on how to have your awakenings or how to navigate yourself. There's a lot of guides on it, but that's kind of me speaking very loosely on it because I haven't seen too much of it. But I wouldn't be surprised that as we progress as a society and spirituality becomes more popular than it already is, it will kind of like get like a lot of religious undertones into it, and I feel like it already has. And because of that, pile one, what I'm basically trying to say is to get to a higher state of consciousness, it's really about you not doing things in which others would expect you to, or how others are doing things. And I feel like your higher self is one who marches to the beat of their own drum, and an energy that is very motivated in their own way. They draw inspiration from themselves and how they kind of when they get the ball rolling, like it really is an unstoppable force. But I really do think that your higher state of consciousness is about just keeping yourself busy and doing things very subtly, even if it's just like doing mundane things. Just the movement itself, I think, is very important to your higher self. And I feel like, oh, by the way, I'm about to say higher self so many times, like take a shot every time I say higher self. But, it's either that or like, because I be saying those words a lot. But I just feel this kind of rift in these two cards. And while refilming your reading, this is the third time, but it was all technical difficulties, and I just sense this huge like divide in this reading. And I almost wonder, pile one, if you're constantly at odds with yourself because there's a way that you want to do things, but then there's another way that you've been taught, so like what other people want you to do. And because of that, it's just this kind of energetical friction within you, and I feel like it makes it a lot harder to kind of, align with your higher self. And that's why I encourage you to do things in your own way. And I feel like your higher self is very aggressive and very, like, I'm not the one energy. And not because your higher self is mean or anything, or, like an intimidating energy, but it's just that it's not budging. Your energy's not budging. Feet dug into the ground. I've been saying this every time I refilm, but I sense a lot of Taurus energy from this bear card. But I also use this analogy. You know, if two people are given 5 hours to complete the same task, does it really matter how those 5 hours are utilized as long as the task gets done? You know what I'm saying? For example, if one of the two people takes 1 hour to rest, but then spends 4 hours working and gets the task done, but then the other person spends 4 hours resting and 1 hour working, but it also still gets done in the same quality, efficiency, etc. It's just the sense of, does it really matter how the goals were achieved if the goal itself was, completed? And by saying that, it puts this huge emphasis on not being too hard on yourself and rushing yourself, pile one. I think that you very much are prone to being rushed. I'm sensing a lot of this, like, how do I say it? Feeling urged to do something, feeling this pressure. And I feel like this pressure, more often than not, kind of ruins things for you, or kind of like ruins the quality of how you do things, because I feel like your higher self is just not the one. I feel like your higher self is not the one that does things in a way that doesn't resonate with them. I feel like your higher self is just not, it's just not that, The reason that your higher self is so high vibrational and so transcendent is because they do everything in their own way, and they do it with their own methods, because their methods are like unmatched. It's what works for them. It gets the job done. And this is kind of a far-fetched comparison, but like Adele is literally a juggernaut. And if you haven't watched the Honest video, just go watch it, girl. But she does things in her own way. She has approached a career in her own fashion, and she seemingly kind of has the same formula for every time she comes back to the world. But each time it doesn't, like, the goal was achieved, but the formula was kind of like the same, but it was kind of like, actually no, wait, pause. The formula is the same, but the goal is different. And because of that, it's like, why would you change a formula or like a plan of attack when it always works? And I feel like that's what your higher self is. An energy that knows exactly what to do, has formulated like a foolproof plan, a foolproof routine, and one that is completely like full of all. And I think that your higher self is absolutely flawless in their approach to tasks, anything, especially like spiritual awakenings, growth, tough situations. It's like, it's the same method, but that method is just so refined. And I think that every time you approach something new, obviously the method can be kind of fine-tuned and kind of tweaked a little bit, but it's all in the name of improving something. It's still the same thing. It just has made improvements, just like how you can make modifications to a car, and it's like a car can already be really nice, but when you make modifications for it, it's still the same car, just even better in the situations or in places where it might have been weaker. And so it's just this sense of like developing a very meticulous routine and a very meticulous formula. And I think that's what your higher self is really about. It doesn't matter how you move, how you dance, how you sing. It just matters that it's comfortable for you, and one that is, one that really aligns with you and resonates with you. And pile one, I feel like you yourself take your crafts and your work very seriously. And I think that to align with your higher self, it really does deal with your career and really does deal with like finances, and maybe kind of deals with how you react to the material realm, because we do have like earth energy here. I'm sensing, at least I'm sensing a lot of earth energy here. So let's get into the tarot. This is the Ethereal Visions Tarot, but giving it a shuffle. Oh my god, this deck is so hard to shuffle because the cards are like really big, but like also really thick. So it's like, yeah. It's Sunday when I'm filming this. To be fully transparent with y'all, I never really got into these kind of triangle shapes representing the elements. So that's why I was like, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that's Earth, but you know, if it's not, you know, call me out. All right. Who is pile 1's higher self? All right. Shuffled 5 times. Gonna pull the cards now. All right. First card, 5 of Cups. Pile 1, I do think that your higher self has faced a lot of disappointments and has faced a lot of emotional setbacks. I feel like you yourself have faced a lot of emotional setbacks too. And for some reason, I feel really called to mention that, like, maybe because of your methods and how you do things, you've felt very alienated and felt very, you know, like, how do I say it? Set aside. It deals with, like, the ocean. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't know, but, you know, stranded, you know? And because of that, I feel like it has caused a lot of disappointments. And obviously in the 5 of Cups, it does deal with, you know, your perspective, because 3 cups are spilled, but there's 2 still upright and full in the back. And I do think that, I feel like with these 2 cups upright in the back, it's your own methods and your own validation. And I think that too, obviously this is a reading on who is your higher self, not like how to align with your higher self, but I do feel like talking about the alignment is very important, so I'm just going to mention it. It does seem as though to align with your higher self, it's about trusting your guts and trusting your own methods, like I've said in this reading, but also understanding that different, or like, you know, like not the same, isn't bad. And I feel like that's been kind of demonized, especially if you're a woman. I do feel as though personally in the world, when a woman makes changes or does something differently, it's a lot more demonized than if a man were to do things differently, or, you know, more feminine energies do things differently as opposed to like a more masculine energy, pardon me. But, and I'm mentioning that because, well, I don't know why I mentioned that, but I just wanted to throw that out there. But I do think that it applies, especially if you are a more feminine energy. But I do think that in general, it definitely seems as if though your higher self has faced a lot of alienation or a lot of like being kind of left out, and because of that, it's just, you feel rushed, you know, like I don't know how to explain it, like feeling this pressure to do things how everyone else does it, but because of that, it's almost this weird balance. Because when your higher self, or when you yourself do things how others do it, like, you know, like whenever you use other people's methods or methods that are imposed upon you, the quality of your work suffers. But when you do things in your own method, the controversy lies within your method as opposed to your work. So it's like, it's this sense of feeling like you can't win, and some people pleasing maybe right there. Pile 2, not pile 2, oh my gosh. Pile 1, be careful of people pleasing. I think that your higher self is one that does things on their own accord and only gives when it is necessary and when you are already abundant, or when you feel as though people deserve it. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, if the outcome doesn't suffer, it's the method, you know? And because of that, pile 1, just understand that in order to align with your higher self, it's about not imposing others' opinions, methods, or recommendations upon yourself, because you very much know what to do. So like, I feel as though your higher self really comes through when you are approached a new task or something you've never done before. You know, it's like you already know what to do. Like you already know how you're going to tackle it. You know, if someone was like, hey, can you, I don't know, bake me a tray of cinnamon rolls, you already know how to approach it. You already know how you're going to do it. Like, oh, like I'm going to read a book, watch a video, and then I'll go get the ingredients and start it. You know, like you already have a plan. I think that your higher self is a huge planner, and I feel like you feel most aligned whenever you do plan and you think ahead. I sense a lot of farsightedness, at least like mentally. And because of that, it's just like you wouldn't do well if someone put that task in your hands, but then forced you to do it in a way that they want you to do it, you know? And it's like either A, they can bite the bullet with how you do things, or B, let the outcome of your work kind of suffer. So I do think that a lot of disappointment has come from that pile one, and I think that like people, maybe you've dealt with some pessimism, and I do think that is derived from like other people's perspectives and what other people have kind of projected onto you because of your differences. So let's pull another card here. The Star. Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So the Star, okay, usually whenever I look at the Star, I look at the meaning of it second, but first thing I look at is that the Star is ruled by Aquarius. And if there ain't a zodiac sign that literally deals with being different and doing things in their own quirky ways, like what other sign would do that, you know? And Aquarius is a fixed energy, so it's very stubborn. So you very well may be an Aquarius or a Taurus or even a Scorpio or Leo, because those are all fixed energies. But pile one, I do think that you have some healing to do, or your higher self is very much healing from all of this controversy and all of this, you know, like all these external opinions I'm sensing. And I feel like I've been kind of going on and on about the same thing, but pile one, I just feel like the explanation of your higher self in a lot of these, you know, challenges or a lot of these epiphanies your higher self has had, it's a lot easier to explain because saying is easier than doing in this sense. I feel like for you, on paper, it's a very straightforward path. But I feel like in practice, it's a lot more difficult and it's a lot more, like, it's more abrasive and more energetically friction. I don't know, like, it has friction. I don't know how to say, like, frictional, that's not. But, yeah, pile one, I just think that your higher self is really healing from a lot of disappointments, and I think that you yourself may be healing from these things too. And I do think that in order to transcend, it's about addressing this and addressing your differences. And even just saying the word differences, like I have this like negative or like kind of like this, you know, like side-eye emotion towards it because it has been demonized so much in this world. And anyway, honestly, it doesn't even have to be in the 3D realm. I do feel like it has been something that has been kind of like a controversial word, but I do think that your differences are good because it's what suits you most, you know? Your higher self is about being yourself, you know? And obviously that's kind of like a little bit cheesy for a higher self reading because that's kind of the whole theme of the reading, but I do think that for you, it's different, you know? And I think that you kind of maybe like thrive or kind of like relish and revel in controversy, and I do think that you should embrace that and embrace that your higher self brings a lot of change and a lot of new ideas that otherwise wouldn't be thought of by other energies. And I do think that if we have Aquarius energy here, it's really about bringing people together, you know? There's definitely other people that, you know, they can't align with their higher selves, or they feel kind of trapped because, you know, they very much has to come to a lot of standards that were projected onto them and kind of forced upon them. And because of that, pile one, I do think that your higher self is a very influential energy. And I do think that when you reach a very high state of consciousness, you are a very unique energy, a very unique individual who is capable of providing solutions that not anyone would really think of, or at least think of exactly what you think of, you know? If someone else kind of comes up with the same thing, it's not quite to the degree, dedication, and meticulousness that you would, you know, think of. And because of that, I feel like you're a very unique energy. I do think that your higher self is a very motivated energy, but once again, it's boiling back down to this bear energy, you know? It's really about getting yourself to move and, like, acting from a place of your own energy, you know, not acting from a place of I need to do this, like someone else wants me to do this, or like another energy wants me to do this. It's from within, and I think that your higher self really operates from their kind of own energetical reservoir. And what I mean by that is, with the star card here, it's a lot about healing and being motivated by yourself, because obviously Aquarius is a very self-motivated energy. And I think that with the Five of Cups here, it's about overcoming these disappointments and differences that you feel are not right, and just kind of like, I don't know how to say it without it coming off rude, but it's just like moving on from, like getting over it, because it's really not that serious. And I do think that because your higher self is such a high vibrational, like, energy, like, obviously it brings in low vibrational energies, haters, And honestly, pile one, let's keep it real here. If you're gonna draw anything from this reading, just know the more haters you have, the more famous you are. Period. But yeah, let's pull another card here. We have the Four of Cups. Okay. So with the Four of Cups, it really does seem as though it's about, once again, that motivation from within, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like it, once again, I just see a figure that's literally resting and kind of rejuvenating themselves, I feel like your higher self decisions, actions, and, or like a call to action to do something comes very easily after a very effective, inspiring, and rejuvenating period of rest. I think that this is so like cool. I feel like when you give things time, things just work out beautifully. I feel like a lot of your decision making, when you're at your highest level of consciousness, is based on time as opposed to what's immediately in front of you. Pile one, I feel like your higher self, or like you yourself, just whenever things kind of like problems are presented to you, or kind of like a fork in the road, when given time, it's just amazing how you're able to just kind of almost seemingly just make a decision and make the cleanest cut possible. And I feel like you're a very elegant energy in that sense. If I've been talking about Taurus energy here, but we also have water energy here. So we have like Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. I do sense a lot of Pisces energy here too. But both Pisces and Taurus are kind of prone to being rushed, or kind of being forced to do things how others would want them to do it. And because of that, it's very hard for those energies to kind of like align with their higher selves if they are kind of like operating from a place of how others would want them to. But yeah, I do think that, I don't know, like, it really does feel like I'm kind of repeating myself over and over and over, but I feel like, once again, it kind of speaks volumes to just how honed your intuition is, and how like expertise your methods are. And it kind of like has influenced the structure of this reading. It's about like presenting an idea that is so like, it's like spot on, but like, it kind of moves the lens a little bit with each card I pull. And each time the lens is moved, it focuses more and more on, like what we're trying to look at here, which is your higher self. But yeah, let's pull one more card before we kind of wrap things up here. King of Cups. Wow. Okay. Lots of water energy here. But I do feel like the King of Cups, at least in this reading, it feels a lot more patient. It feels more relaxed. The King of Cups, definitely in my eyes, is the more gentle king, because obviously it's the cups, emotions. But I do think that you have a very sharp intuition, pile one, and I do think that your higher self is like constantly kind of giving that to you, kind of always kind of giving you that gut reaction to things. I feel like you're the type of person that's like, you see something and it kind of makes you feel some type of way, and that feeling ends up being right. But I do think that your higher self is constantly communicating to you about that. It really does seem as though your higher self is always trying to like urge you to like wait. I feel like time is a huge influence in this reading, in the sense that like time is like your biggest weapon and your biggest, like, it's like everything to you. Like, your protection, your motivation, you know, your rejuvenation. Wow, we got the rhymes up in here, but you know, pile one, I really do feel like there's not much more I can say in this reading. I really feel like it's just been like 30 or like 25 minutes of me saying the same thing over and over again. But because there's a lot of stubborn energy here, pile one, I really do feel like even your higher self has to be told things more than once in order for things to kind of get a move on. But simultaneously, I think that's kind of controversial because obviously I've been talking about like how external energies can like get you to do things in the way that you don't want to. But obviously I say that in a sense that it's about the movement itself, not about how you move. And I do think that even with yourself, you kind of have to like really reason with yourself and really muster up the energy to get things going. Like, once again, I think that your higher self, like, it's about taking calculated action and not like constantly being on the go. I feel like your higher self is like not about that. It's like, girl, like, we are not always going to be moving. We are going to take a break. And when break is taken, I will make choice and then get things done in a timely manner. Don't worry. But yeah, pile one, that's the reading I got for you and who your higher self is. I've never done readings like this before. This is my first time ever doing a higher self reading, but this is exciting. This is fun. I feel like your higher self is very influential, very popular. I should have mentioned that earlier in the reading, but I feel like your higher self is really popular. Aquarius energy can be very popular, but yeah, it can be very prone to emotional disappointments because Aquarius is like, you know, very self-motivated. And when other people are like, hey, yo, that's not the vibe, Aquarius is like, girl, it is the vibe. Don't play with me. Stop. I'm not the one. Then gets all hurt about it and then just kind of keeps going in silence, you know. But don't ever do things in silence, you know. It doesn't matter. Like, you don't have to operate in the shadows. You know, if other people don't agree, just let them disagree, you know. It's that simple. But yeah, pile one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the reading resonated. This is my first time doing it. If it didn't, or, you know, if you have some tips for this, I'm open to criticism. I know. But anyways, before I start saying thank you so much for watching, like, comment, and subscribe because I'm a YouTuber like a million times, I'm just going to end it off here. So let me say it one more time. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe because I'm like a YouTuber now. And I love you. Bye. Hello, pile 2. If you chose the sleep or serene essential oil for sleep, this is going to be your reading. Right off the bat, I sense a lot of Virgo energy just from approaching this reading because I was watching this video by this channel called Esoteric Sky, which, by the way, I highly recommend that channel. So amazing if you're like really into astrology and like tarot, but mostly astrology. And he was talking about Virgo moons, and I was like, oh, like Virgo, like, and I did that. I got to this reading right after I watched that video, so I was like thinking about Virgos. But anyways, for your cards for who your higher self is, we have the Cobra and the Sin Eater. So right off the bat, there's a goat in this card, so you could be a Capricorn. And then we have fire here, so Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. But pile 2, I was excited to do your reading just from the Sin Eater card because I love the Sin Eater card. Reading about it was just so eye-opening because I feel like pile 2, your higher self has forgiven itself. I feel like your higher self is like, in general, like you and your higher self, I think across the board in this reading, there's going to be a huge emphasis on intelligence and calculated risk taking. And why I'm saying that is because when just looking at a cobra, whenever I think of snakes, I think of that little thing they do right before they strike, where they sit there and, you know, they raise up and you're not quite sure when they're going to strike, but when they do, it's like they get their victim in the most perfect spot possible. You know, I rarely hear about like a cobra or like a snake just like striking at an incorrect time. I rarely hear about that. So with that being said, I feel like pile 2, your higher self is just very humble and very wise, forgiven itself, and no longer weaponizes it's knowledge. Pile 2, because the Sin Eater card, why I love this card so much is because it talked about sacrifices and how in some religions, I forgot what the religion was called. It probably isn't even a religion, but like a practice where sacrifices were made to kind of release others from their sins or whatever. Obviously the word sin has a very religious undertone to it, but obviously anything that is deemed tainted or not good in your eyes, pile 2, is about forgiving yourself for your flaws. And I think that your higher self has forgiven itself for your flaws. And I think that to align with your higher self, by the way, I told this to pile 1, I'm going to be saying higher self a lot, so take a shot every time I say it, I guess. But I really do think to align with your higher self, it's about forgiving yourself and really letting go of the burdens that have been bestowed upon you by other people, and understanding that the things that you deem bad about yourself or qualities that maybe other people have like demonized are not to be defended. They are not to be, they're to be left alone. It doesn't matter who judges them because it is you, and you have forgiven yourself. And it doesn't matter who hates on it as long as you like it, and as long as you are okay with it. And I feel like with the Sin Eater card, it's heavily about being comfortable with yourself, and your higher self is very much that version of yourself. I feel like you at your highest conscious level, you're at peace and you're very calm with yourself, and you are a good student and a good teacher. But I think that with the Cobra card, I do feel like a snake is very temperamental in the sense that even in a little bit of threat, it will strike. And obviously a cobra has venom, and I feel like pile 2, you're very susceptible to harming people around you, or not considering how others may feel, or like no one really had malicious intent or intent to hurt your feelings or make you feel some type of way in the beginning, but you struck out, and you over assumed and you jumped to conclusions, and you could really hurt some people. I think that what you observe and what you see and how you feel like are very meticulous. And I honestly, that's why I kind of mentioned Virgo in the beginning, because like I feel like Virgos are very critical people, and because of that, they're able to sniff out insecurities in people and really harm people. It's a sign ruled by Mercury. That's why I kind of like lean more towards words in this reading. But because of that, it's about understanding that you have a great ability to either help assist people and really help them transcend and enlighten. You're an amazing student and an amazing teacher, like I said. But when out of balance, you can become very harmful to everyone around you, including yourself. And I think that in order to keep that in balance, it's about forgiving yourself and being more comfortable with yourself. That way, your discernment doesn't get so much to a point where you're projecting it on others. And it deals a lot with like insecurities and disturbances that you harbor deep within yourself. And I feel like your higher self, like you at your highest consciousness, has forgiven yourself, has let go of flaws, let go of misconceptions about yourself that may have been taught to you. Because if you're a great student, that also means you're very influential to external energies and the wrong teacher, if you know what I mean. And because of that, maybe in this lifetime you've been taught things that are false about yourself or about things around you. And I think that with this Cobra card, it's really about practicing and being more positive and understanding that you have great power, and that other people probably see that in you and would rather tear that down and keep you at bay than actually let you understand like what you have going on. It's too easy. It's too easy to tear down other people than lift yourself up. It's easier to tear down others to lift yourself up, because you're not actually lifting yourself up. You're still in the same stagnant position, but because you're bringing others down, it feels like you're lifting yourself up. And I think that pile 2, it's about knowing that your higher self has really tamed its own ego and energetically has forgiven itself for things it may have done in this life, past life, and just in general. Forgiveness is a huge theme in this reading. And I do think that like if you are like an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, it's about not being prideful, because fire signs are obviously they can be very egotistical and very selfish, but not in, it can get out of control is basically what I'm trying to say here. And I do think that in this reading, there's just this huge emphasis on ego, like you are powerful, Pilot 2, and I don't think that there's much more you can do to actually transcend in terms of knowledge and like emotional wellness, because I feel like you have the capacity to do that already. Like you're so smart, Pilot 2, but it's about how you transmute that and how you present it to other people and how you use it, you know? It's like with great power comes great responsibility, you know? I think that you have a huge gift in that, like, you can kind of see the spiritual realm, but in a material level, if you know what I mean. Like you can kind of see things that nobody else sees with such a discernful eye. And with the Sin Eater card, I think that once you understand that, like, other people are at your mercy and not you are at their mercy, it'll be easier to forgive yourself and easier to understand that you very much are in more control than you think, and that, like, you should really just let go of these burdens. You know, they're not serving you, you know? No one's forcing you to carry them. No one's forcing you to constantly deal with them on a daily basis. So let's get right into your tarot. This reading has a huge emotional undertone to it. I also do think that with the Sin Eater card, it's about forgiving others too that have done you wrong, and understanding that they did it from a place of hurt and their own emotional confusion, you know? Because you know what that's like, Pilot 2. You know what it's like to lash out because you feel like vulnerable or hurt, you know? And I think that your higher self understands that already. And I think that in order to align with your higher self, it's about not taking these things personally and understanding that you're just a very impressionable person, and people take advantage of that because it's easier for them to make you feel the things that they're too scared to confront. Okay, who is Pilot 2's higher self? I'm really excited for the cards. Like, I'm excited to see what comes out, honestly. First card, the Artist. Okay, this is interesting because this is not a card that's typically in, like, you know, mainstream tarot decks, but it's exclusive to this deck. You know, it's an add-on. But with the Artist card, literally just an artist. You know what I mean? Also, my neighbors are playing loud music. I think it's Sunday, right? Girl, go back inside. Anyways, the Artist card. You know, what do you think when you think of an artist? You know, you think of creativity, you think of uniqueness, you think of, once again, a great student and a great teacher. You know, an artist is a very inspired energy. And I think that, Pile 2, you very well may have a lot of artistic talents and a lot of gifts. And I think that your higher self has really utilized those and uses them at its own disposal. What I mean by that is that, you know, you're being humble with it. You know, you are more confident with it. You know, I think that you should believe in yourself more, Pile 2. I think that with this Artist card that you should express yourself more and open yourself up, you know, because a person that it's easier for an outsider. Okay, like, this is going to take some huge elaboration here. But if you build up your walls really high, it's easier for an amazing person to get through to you with their kindness than it is for a terrible person to get through to you with their harshness and their, like, hurt. You know what I'm saying? Because that person's kindness will kind of go to waste because it'll hit the wall, go right down. But when a negative person comes at you, you're reminded of why you built those walls in the first place. And basically what I'm trying to say here is, Pile 2, when you open yourself up to everybody, you know, when they say, when they, like, you play with an Ouija board, like, you're inviting the good and the bad. And I think that this is the situation where you can use that razor sharp discernment of yours to align with your higher self. Because it's easier for you to dismiss a person that's coming at you sideways because you already know that person is coming at you, not because you did something, like you don't even have to know this person, but because they feel that they see something in you that they wish they had for themselves or something of the sorts. And so it's easier for you to dismiss them and for you to be a teacher, if you know what I mean. And it's just like, when simultaneously opening yourself up also allows you to fully revel in other people's compassion and admiration and their inspiring energies. Like, I'm getting emotional thinking about this because I feel like pile 2, like, your higher self is just a very sophisticated energy, and one that is definitely something I think that you are trying to align with your higher self, pile 2. Like, obviously all of the piles are if you even clicked on this video, but I think that there's a huge emphasis on yours because you have a great urge to live more comfortably and live without such a huge burden on your shoulders. And it seems as if though your higher self is always, like, I feel like they're coming through in this reading to really urge you to not take other people's negative or horrible criticism so personally, and just treat it like business. Treat it like, because it's like you've said worse things to yourself. I don't feel as though it's like like, oh my gosh, like I never even thought of that. Like, I feel like when these negative things that you say to yourself, it hurts more because other people are confirming the thoughts that you already harbor within yourself because it was implemented into you at such an early age. But I think that with the artist, I think that a really great way for you to align with your higher self, pile 2, is to really express your emotions artistically. So through writing, drawing, painting, something of the sorts. I think that would be very great for you, pile 2. I think that expressing yourself would come to you very naturally if you put more emotion into it or allowed yourself to project more emotionally. But yeah, let's pull another card here. We have King of Cups. Okay, this is interesting because I wanted to mention this, but with this goat here, and I mentioned Capricorn, I also do feel like you may have dealt with something with your father, or like just a masculine energy. I think men are a very dicey topic in this reading. But pile 2, I hate to say this, but like, do understand that it really was just like unlucky, And the reason I'm hesitant to say is because I don't want to be like, oh, not all blank, you know what I mean? That, I feel like that's not a good enough argument, and I'm not saying that you should open yourself up completely, but it's just like when I say that, you very much know how to open up. You know in which ways you need to open up. Like, pile 2, like, you're not dumb. Like, and I feel like with this King of Cups, it's about you tapping into your emotional masculinity, that energy, being more compassionate and being more emotionally open. And when I say more, that word can be used as lightly or as heavily as you want. It doesn't matter if you want to open yourself up just a teeny bit or like a bunch, but it's just a sense that how you are handling your emotions and your self-expression right now are very difficult, and it's very hard for you to transcend and harder for you to keep learning about yourself because it's like your energy is like you're locking it up, which makes it so hard for you to be receptive to the outside world. And I think that when you're locking yourself up like that and you're not receptive, like I said, it makes it that much harder for you to learn. I think that your brain, pile 2, craves novelty, craves new lessons, and just like new exciting stimulating things. And I just feel like with this sleep card, like maybe you've been struggling to sleep because you have an itching for an adventure or like an itching to travel, do something new. And I feel like your mind is very restless, and because of that, I think that sleep has been hard for you. That could be for some of you, not all of you. But with this King of Cups, I do want to emphasize that like your bad experiences with masculine energies won't be every single experience you have, as long as you don't let it. Because like, I'm gonna just kind of say a little something here, but like I really do feel like how you have control over what you attract, especially when it comes to like masculine energies, because like, not to be shallow, y'all, but men can be kind of dumb. I can vouch for that. But I don't know. I do think that like masculine energies are a huge topic in here, and I wouldn't be surprised if like something with that and like you having these internalized negative beliefs are like correlated, but that's just a loose thought. Pile two, I just feel like your higher self is, you know, you think of water that's very still. Like that's what I'm thinking of with this King of Cups. I think of a body of water that is completely still. And when one thing ripples it, it ripples the whole thing almost. But you know how like when you like throw a rock into water and the whole lake obviously doesn't like ripple up or like freaking like bubble up or anything. It's just that one spot, and as the ripples go out, it kind of, you know, like smooths out again, and then the middle once again smooths out too, you know. It's nothing more than a ripple, you know. It's nothing more. It's not like a huge tidal wave or anything of the sorts. So that's why I feel like good emotional hygiene is a huge theme in this reading in order for your higher self to really come out. And I do think that your higher self is very good at managing its emotions, or their emotions, pardon me. And I feel like your higher self, like I said, has forgiven themselves, really let go of things, and really truly moved on from things that have been rooted in you for a long time. And obviously, when I say this, it's like way easier to say than it is to do. This was an energy in pile one too, but it's a lot easier to say all this than to actually begin the practice of it. And I feel like that's why it's important for you to express yourself, because I do think that expressing yourself and the words will make a huge difference in the quality. But yeah, pile two, just understand that you are in more control than you think, and that with the Cobra card, you know, when you think of venom, or at least when I think of venom, a lot of the times a cure can be found within that venom, you know? Like whenever we're trying to find the cure for a poison, then the antidote, it usually requires you to get a hold of the poison, you know, and, you know, mess with it, change it up, you know, add things to it, you know, pull apart like different parts of it. Also, my neighbor's using their really loud car. Sorry. You're gonna hear it in the next like 5 minutes. But anyways, yeah, Pile 2 is just understanding that there's a lot of color and a lot of things to be revealed in your lash outs and your anger and your pain. There's a lot to learn there, and there's a lot of things in there that will tell you a lot of things that will help you align with your higher self, and your higher self has definitely already learned that, figured it out. And it really does help for you to do it in a creative way, because I feel like it's easier for you to express things in a more light-hearted way, in a more humorous or artistic way, because it kind of filters out and kind of like pastelizes the pain, you know what I mean? Or pastelizes what is something harsh about it that is hard for you to maybe digest. And I think that your higher self is able to transmute problems into a more soft and nurturing way that doesn't hurt so much, you know? But yeah, let's pull another card. Okay. Six of Swords. Wow. Yeah. Six of Swords. Okay. First of all, we have Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, and then we also have Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And yeah, I just feel like also you may have a fire placement in Mars, or like a fire placement in like your Venus or your Mercury, a fire placement somewhere around there. I just feel called to mention that. But with the Six of Swords, this card is literally about moving along and, you know, navigating emotions, at least to me, because you can kind of see him in a boat, but he's kind of like traveling through water. And it's interesting because he has the swords with him in the boat. So it's really about protecting your inspirations and your thoughts, you know, and navigating these emotions with them, you know. I feel like you're a very complex person, and I think that your higher self is very much the same way, in that your emotions and your thoughts, I think that you like to keep those separate to kind of keep it organized, more digestible, which is totally fine, totally valid, and, you know, it works, so like who's gonna hate on it? But I do think that in that sense, it's very important for you to manage the time that you spend on each part of yourself, like emotionally and like cerebrally, because I feel like you're very susceptible to getting emotionally and mentally out of balance, and then it's like when one's out of balance, it kind of messes up the other one, because then you have to take away time from it to focus on what's already unbalanced, and then it's just like, but in that sense, your higher self has perfectly understood how to manage that and how to balance and how to properly distribute the time given to these parts of yourself. I think that there's a lot of parts of yourself that require needs and have like, I just think that you have needs that only you can truly fulfill, pile two, and I think that you should not expect others to do it for you. Like I said, like a cobra is very self-sufficient. You've never heard of a cobra getting help from another animal. I you couldn't pay you could pay me America's debt in cash, be like, hey yo, go pick up a cobra or go help a cobra. No, absolutely not. I'm staying away from it unless it, is showing signs of being humble and nice to me, not gonna bite me and destroy my career. Anyways, I'm saying a cobra is very independent and very powerful, but like I said, with this much power comes great responsibility, and this cobra can easily just kill for fun or kill without meaning to. A cobra, if it strikes out because it's feeling in danger and feeling uncomfortable with where it's at, or the skin it's in, it can literally kill animal after animal, like thing after thing. And pile two, that's why it's important that you cultivate your own self-comfort and this reliability, so that you don't have to put it on other people or like constantly be afraid of dealing with other people. And it's just like, you don't have to truly associate with others, but do understand that they're necessary in your journey, and they're necessary for you learning, because I feel like it's easier for you to pick apart other people and see things in yourself in the midst of picking them apart. So it's like this huge rift of like this very intelligent energy. Like, I almost wonder if you have like a smart Mercury, like a Scorpio Mercury, but that's besides the point. Like, you're just a very surveillant, is that the word, surveillanced energy, in the sense that you can really pick out things from, like, you learn best when you observe other people, Like, I think that you learn a lot when you help other people with their problems. You very well may be a very like charitable person, or someone who is always helping out or really nice to people, and I think that your higher self does so with great humbleness and discernment. I feel like I've been saying the word discernment like a million times. Like, please don't tell me how many times I've said it. I will actually lay down and just think about it for the rest of my life. Anyways, one more card before we wrap it up here. Okay, we have 8 of Cups. Ooh. It's very interesting, the cards I've pulled in this reading, because it's so deep. But with the 8 of Cups, I do think that it's about leaving behind emotional situations that are not for you to solve. Pile 2, I feel like you've been sent on a lot of emotional wild goose chases in this lifetime, and your higher self is really urging you to understand that it's literally not your responsibility, not your business. Don't worry. Don't stress about it. And obviously that's like hard for me to say, or like hard to like for you to kind of like just do. Like I said, a lot of this is easy to say, but in practice it's a lot more difficult. But I feel like pile 2, in order for you to really transcend and really get closer with your higher self, you should really express yourself more. I feel like it's easier if you, oh my gosh, I'm getting a lot of like messages. I feel like you're very good at picking apart art. Like, for example, if there's a painting in front of you, it's easy for you to be like, oh my gosh, like, look at this color, look at this little shape right here, there's a defect right here, I really like how you did this. It's just like, you have an amazing eye, pile 2, and it's just like, I almost wonder if you don't have to wear glasses. But anyways, like, I just feel like in expressing yourself, you're able to see defects and also good things in what you've just created, and like, obviously, like, this applies across the board, like, any type of self-expression. I think that I'm going to keep reiterating that until the end of this reading. But do understand that in order for you to really get closer with your higher self, and your higher self is also urging you to do this, just express yourself more emotionally, because I think that you've honed your mental noggin a lot more. I think that you're more ahead in terms of like wisdom than you are in like intuition and feelings. Like I think that you're a head over heart person. So it's very important that when you bring your heart up more and you use your head and heart in like conjunction, it's like Sherlock Holmes energy, you know what I'm saying? Like you can literally figure out anything, you know? But because you're limiting yourself to just your head, because you've locked yourself up emotionally, because it's caused you problems in the past, it's just causing a lot more internalized problems, and you know, it's just like worsening, you know, like a disease. And with this Eight of Cups, it's urging you that like you have a lot of emotional baggage that literally isn't even yours. And because of that, you have a lot of emotional clutter. And I think that it would do you a lot of good to start decluttering that way. And it starts with you just kind of opening yourself up, you know? It's like, I love using this analogy, and I have never gotten to use it, so I'm excited to use it now. But when you're cleaning a very cluttered space in a house, like say like there's a room that's just full of stuff that is just, it is ridiculous. You know, there's no right way to go about it, pile two. You start with what you can, okay? You do what's manageable, and suddenly like it becomes more manageable as you go. You know, like I remember last year I did a sink full of dishes around the holidays, and we all know how that goes. You know, it can start with you just washing a small fork, and then suddenly suddenly you're very well on your way to getting all of it done, you know? It starts small, but once you get the ball rolling, it's going to get done, you know? I remember I read this one like quote on like Instagram, and it was like, you can't do the impossible because it's impossible, but once you do what's possible in the moment and you keep doing that moment to moment, suddenly you are doing the impossible. And oh my gosh, that like gives me chills. I never get chills in my readings, but that, you know, that just really excites me, Pile 2. Just understand that emotionally, if you do feel like you are an emotional wreck, like, it doesn't matter where you start. Don't be ashamed, you know? That shame was taught to you. And it's just like keep moving forward, and your higher self, you will really align with your higher self, and you will really see in perspective how powerful you actually are. Your higher self is literally so strong, Paolo. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm so scared of snakes. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the vibe, you know. People are intimidated by snakes. People are intimidated by you, Pile 2, because you hold great power. You hold venom. But it's like you can use that venom and really break it apart and find the cure for yourself. And suddenly you're not using that venom to attack people or like keep yourself safe, but rather you're using it to rejuvenate yourself and heal yourself and really forgive yourself. And then when that's done, you're able to really help others in the way that you've always wanted to, or the way in that you wished others would have helped you, you know? Suddenly you'll be doing the impossible. Okay, Pile 2, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. Like, comment, and subscribe. It's a vibe. I'm a YouTuber, and like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, before I start saying that 5 million times, I'm just gonna cut it off here. So bye. Hello, Pile 3. If you chose the Spa Room Blend Tranquil, this is gonna be a reading. These readings have been so much fun. I'm gonna reply to that comment later and be like, hey yo, that was so much fun to do. You have an amazing, your ideas are amazing. I love you. But anyways, this is gonna be a reading for who is your higher self. So first of all, we have the Deer, and then the Muse of Astrology. Y'all, I'm about to go out to Target after this, and I'm about to showcase my new fit that I was thinking about all day. I'm so excited. Anyways, Pile 3. So the first thing that I noticed was when I was looking at this Muse of Astrology card, the absolute first thing I thought of, Pile 3, was astrology being kind of like stigmatized, if you will. Like, you know, like, oh, do you believe in that? Or like, oh, wow, you're one of those. You know, like I feel like astrology nowadays receives a lot of criticism because it's been misinterpreted and kind of like constantly reiterated. And like every time, it's like a huge game of telephone. Every time it's reiterated, it becomes more and more inaccurate and more like mainstream. And it's just like, dude, it's science, you know? But w- me saying that is basically, I feel like with this deer card, because when you think of a deer, it's very skittish and it's very like afraid and very, you know, quick, but simultaneously it's like whenever I think that, it's quick to run away from criticism or to run away, you know. And I think that your higher self is the energy that has embraced itself, in the sense that what it believes is what it believes. And instead of like you using yourself, what you believe in, what you feel, what you think, as like a reason to be criticized, instead of that, using it as a way to embrace yourself and to embrace others like you, and to fight for inclusivity and fight for what's truly like you are setting. Like I feel, oh, I literally can't get it out. Pile 3, basically pile 3, I feel like your higher self is a huge inspiration and like how do I say it, an energy to look to, like a beacon of light to look to as proof of, hey, like I believe in this, and like this is what I want to do, this is what I believe in, this is what I think is right. Even though astrology isn't like a religion or anything, it's literally planets, it's science. But that's besides the point. Hey guys, welcome back to my ASMR channel. But anyways, it's just like when you set your foot down and you understand that what you believe is beautiful and it's a reason that makes you amazing and it makes you unique and different and graceful, serene. When you look at it that way, instead of a reason for others to criticize you, you're able to transcend. Your higher self is so graceful and quick, you know. I keep like envisioning a deer like skipping through the woods, you know. It's able to somehow, like, it has four legs, but it's still somehow able to avoid all these twigs, branches, nails, whatever may be on the forest floor, you know what I mean? All of these negative things, you know, these things that could harm the deer, but instead it's somehow able to expertly navigate through them. And I feel like your higher self is maybe an escape artist, but also like so intelligent in its every single step. Like your higher self is so quick with it, very quick on their feet, and it's just like I can't even keep up with it. Like it's so hard to comprehend. And it's just like your higher self is so smart and very calculated, knows every single step that's coming up, you know? Like I just sense that maybe you're a good driver. I don't know. I just want to say that out loud. But anyways, pile 3, I also sense a lot of like motherly energy in this reading, because when I was reading up on the deer card, I noticed that it was talking about kind of like some motherly energy. So you very well could be a mother, pile 3, or like radiate maternal energy. And I feel like you're such a nurturing person. Like I think that your higher self at its best is able to truly nurture people, or like nurture other energies, heal. You know, you could very well be a healer, you know? And obviously, if you understand that what you love and what you're into and the things that embody you make you graceful instead of, you know, like debilitated, you're able to completely avoid the criticism altogether. You know what I'm saying? You're able to completely brush it off, you know? You're too busy being serene, too busy being like graceful and beautiful and worrying about those who look to you. You know, there's like, I feel like when you feel counted on and when others are relying to you and looking to you for inspiration, there's not a drop of negativity in this world that could like keep you from that, you know, keep you from focusing on where you're needed and focusing on what makes you special, you know? And I think that your higher self has really embraced that, you know, understanding that the negativity is completely irrelevant to you and completely like obsolete to your happiness and just not useful or sustainable to you transcending, you know? And so I just feel like there's this huge emphasis on the fact that you need to understand that, like, once you get a move on and once you start skipping along, understanding that what makes you like beautiful and the things that embody you, the things that compose you, aren't the things that, like debilitate you or like bring you down, but rather are these things that lift you up and make you graceful and make you able to expertly navigate any situation without much thought. Like, I feel like you're very just quick-witted. Like, I keep wanting you to say that. Like, you're just so quick with it, like you're quick to snap back, you're quick to say something, you're quick to make a move on. Like, it's a very good impulsive energy. So let's get into the tarot. This is really exciting. So yeah. Whew. Also, with the Muse of Astrology, it could really do you some good to look into astrology. Maybe if you look at your birth chart or even like your big three, like I feel like you would learn a lot. And I feel like it's just kind of like, it's about understanding that, like, whenever I think of astrology, I think of a means to kind of break yourself down and really explain more parts of yourself and see what makes you special at a more conscious level. And I think that your higher self, like aligning with your higher self, could really benefit from that. Also, I'm about to say higher self like a million times, so like, I don't know, play drinking games, take a shot every time I say higher self. But I've been saying that to all the pilots today, don't worry. I hope YouTube doesn't like get mad at me for it. If they do, that's gonna be kind of tragic on the girl. I didn't say anything. But anyways, I digress. Who is pilot 3's higher self? Who is pilot 3's higher self? Who is pilot 3's higher self? Alright. What do we got here? Alright. We have 9 of Pentacles. Ciao. Look at this look at this card. Literally, okay. Pile 3, 9 of Pentacles literally talks about feeling yourself, being beautiful, being abundant. You just got one pentacle closer to the 10 of Pentacles, you've come so far in your journey, perhaps materialistically. Maybe this does deal with career, and maybe your higher self like really does transcend whenever you feel like you're in a good spot in career, like the material realm. But that's just loose thought. I sense Capricorn energy. There's been a lot of like Capricorn energy like across the board, like as of late, especially in my readings, like in my life. But anyways, that's besides the point. Pile 3, the 9 of like, I feel like this is your higher self. Like, we could just end the reading right here, you know what I'm saying? But the 9 of Pentacles is just so abundant, and it's just so like, you've cultivated your own garden and you're literally harvesting what you grew, like I've never experienced this, but it's just the feeling of growing something in the summer and harvesting it in the fall. And it's just like, who's gonna tell you anything? You grew that, you did that, those strawberries you're eating right now, you grew those. Who's gonna talk smack to you? And and I feel like that's kind of the vibe here, especially this reading as a whole. It's understanding that you're so capable. You may have a green thumb, pile 3. You may be very like a very fertile person, but I'm sensing like a lot of earth energy here. But I feel like with this 9 of Pentacles, your higher self is just so, like, I can't say it any other way, just so abundant and so like giving, like I just think of someone in a prom dress or somebody just wearing a dress, they're feeling themselves, they're done up, they don't care what you have to say to them, they're not doing it for you, they're doing it for themselves. They put that dress on because they wanted to feel good, they wanted to look good, and they know they look good. And I feel like that's your higher self. Your higher self is graceful, beautiful, ethereal, like enigmatic and like breathtaking. When I say enigmatic, it makes me think of Scorpio, so you could be a Scorpio. But I feel like by nature your higher self is very alluring and very like mysterious and very like, how do I say it, just very like a moth to a flame type of energy, like, and maybe that's why like this kind of controversial energy kind of popped up, like criticism, because maybe you are so alluring that you've also attracted energies that want to like break you down or tear you down or like ruin you. And obviously that's done a number on you, maybe, but if it hasn't, like maybe it's something you're afraid of. And I think that your higher self is one that can avoid all of that altogether by looking to themselves for cultivation, growth, fruitfulness, abundance. And I feel like like, if you grow your own fruits, you know exactly what was going into growing these fruits, no pesticides, no nothing. There's no risks being involved, there's no like formaldehyde risks or whatever the freaking cancer laws are nowadays, when you go to the store and they're like, oh, this product may contain blah, 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 which might cause cancer. Like you don't have to deal with that, pile three. You don't have to deal with the risk of people criticizing you when you're constantly like relying on your own reservoir of energy and compassion, And it's not to say that like you have to do everything by yourself or anything, but it's just like when you do this and you treat yourself like that, like that being like with compassion and knowledge and inclusivity, you'll attract that. How you treat yourself will be reflected in others, and obviously like your higher self is just so respectful to themselves and very graceful and beautiful and very like doesn't have time for the BS, and because of that it's just like completely skipping over like the stuff on the forest floor like I was talking about as a deer would. So let's pull another card. I feel like I'm like over milking it. 9 of Wands. So we have 2 9s here. So oh my gosh, my hand's so shaky. Did you see that? I was like but anyways, the first thing that I noticed is that with the 2 9s here, I really almost wonder if you're close to aligning with your higher self more. But 9 of Wands is realizing that like your hard work is gonna pay off, or it's kind of like the end of something, kind of like really working and really hauling arse, if you will. And then, you've gotten to this point. You're 1 wand away from the 10 of Wands, but it's just like, it's this anticipation. And I feel like your higher self is a very hard worker and very efficient, very good work ethic, very intelligent, and very motivated. I feel like your higher self is very motivated. Obviously, an energy has to be this motivated in order to be so quick and so lightning. Like, I don't even know how to say, just lightning fast. And pile 3, I feel like your higher self is very, how do I say this? They're just like, I'm looking at this card right now and you can kind of see he's looking off. And despite the fact that you're able to travel great distances and you're able to kind of move along very quick and make huge progress, you're simultaneously like very gifted in the sense that you're able to look back at all of that distance. It doesn't matter how far you traveled, you're still able to see the beginning point. And because of that, your higher self is very humbled and very knowledgeable. It was able to take every single moment that they experienced on the way here to the destination, and they're able to learn from it. And because of that, your higher self is very knowledgeable. Like you very well also may be very knowledgeable, very smart. And I think that this Muse of Astrology card kind of speaks a little bit about that too, looking into your birth chart, like, and it's just like you're able to look back on your childhood and look back at all of these things, look at the past with a huge unbiased lens that is very focused and clean, and do so with great compassion and intuition, just a sense of like you're really like you're such a great learner. Pile 3 is what I'm trying to say here. Like is you're very smart, and your higher self is very much the same way, a great learner, able to really look back and take stock. And at the astrology sense, pile 3, if you are meaning to get more into astrology, I highly recommend Googling your birth chart first, reading up on it, see how it applies. And then how I like to learn astrology is look at other people's birth charts and see how they act, And you can also read about it, obviously, but it really helps to observe how other people's act, because astrology, I feel like the language, how it's described, can come off as kind of like complicated, But when you actually see it in action, it's like a lot easier. But I do think that astrology may be a topic that you want to explore more. So let's pull another card. Your reading is about to be really short, pile 3. I'm so sorry, but like I feel like this is a lot of stuff that you already know, because we have 2 9s here, and I feel like you're reaching like a spiritual awakening very soon, and I almost wonder if that's why you felt called to like come here. But we have 8 of Swords. Wow. Okay. Pile 3, I almost wonder if you're facing blockages with your awakenings or like aligning with your higher self. it's just like you feel like you're right there, but you don't know how to make that final oomph to kind of get over the fence, you know? What was that, girl? Anyways. Anyways, pile 3, sorry. I feel like the Eight of Swords talks about self-restrictions and self-imposed imprisonment, because looking in this reading, like looking at this card, pardon me, like, do you see these ropes? Like, I know she's not struggling. Girl, what is you doing? Your hands are literally free and she's out here like, y'all, I'm trapped. Anyways. But that's kind of the vibe here, pile 3. I feel like you're looking in the wrong places, and I feel like you are kind of like approaching it at like a very difficult way, you know? Like, I'm thinking like you're in a maze and the exit's right there and there's a wall in your way, and instead of going around and making life easier, you're trying to like break down that wall, and because of that it's like draining you, and you know, it's just not, it's not efficient. But pile 3, I feel like there's a lot of restrictions, and your higher self is able to avoid these self-restrictions. And I think that your higher self is honestly very vulnerable to self-restrictions because it's so smart, you know, and maybe it can overthink things. I keep saying it, just know I mean like they, like I don't, I'm just kind of rotating between that. But it does seem as though your higher self is very susceptible to overthinking and kind of creating their own blockages. And I feel like that's really an issue that you may be facing too when it comes to aligning with your higher self, as I said. And I do feel as though it's about understanding that you have everything. You don't have to look anywhere else but yourself for this awakening, because you are so abundant, you know, and you don't have to rely on other people. You don't have to look to anywhere else but yourself and your birth chart, perhaps, to understand what it is about you that you're trying to figure out. Like, I feel like when you're trying to figure something out about yourself, maybe you kind of get at, like, kind of blocked, and it's kind of, like, confusing. Like, I don't know, like, doing this reading, I feel very blocked and very, like, burnt out. And not because it's the third reading, but because I'm just getting this feeling that you're pushing something when there's another way to do it that is way simpler. And obviously this simpler method could differentiate from person to person. That's why I'm not going to go too much into it. But I just feel like you're forcing things, and I just feel like your higher self is urging you to not do that. But I feel like your higher self is able to work smarter, not harder. You know what I mean? And I feel like maybe you're very prone to that in the 3D realm, in the sense that maybe you kind of look to grueling work, or like doing a 9 to 5 instead of like doing something that you love for the same amount of money, you know? And it's just like, you know, look to your own methods and do what works for you. And that's what your higher self is really good at. Oh, I got a lot of this in pile 1. But don't move at a pace, or don't learn about yourself with other people's journeys. You know what I'm saying? If someone presents their journey to you, or how they learned about themselves, you're not anything like them. So how is what they did in order to reach their awakening, how is that relevant to you, and how is that going to help you truly transcend, you know? How is that going to help you learn, you know? Because y'all are completely different. Y'all are in completely different places of your life and in your spiritual journey. Not one's higher than the other, but rather it's just you need to do you, pile 3, and that's what your higher self is really about, you know? And it's just like, obviously maybe you're very sensitive to this criticism that I've been mentioning in this reading, because you felt as though there was a right way to do everything. But in reality, your higher self is able to do whatever it wants and get anything that is asked of it done in their own method, in their own way, in the way that they deem as fit, you know? So yeah, let's pull one more card here before I kind of wrap things up. 10 of Swords, wow. I feel like we have quite a bit of swords here. We have Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and then a lot of Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. I'm sensing some Gemini energy here, pile 3. Like, I feel a lot of Gemini energy here, because I feel like I'm talking really fast right now. But you're probably able to keep up because you're a Gemini, but that's just a loose thought. Anyways, with the 10 of Swords, like, let's not even sugarcoat it. Like, it's literally about getting backstabbed and feeling hurt and feeling in pain. But, you know, I feel like I'm stuttering. I was just thinking too hard. I was like observing the card. But I feel like your higher self has suffered this pain. Let's be real here. I feel like you yourself have suffered this pain, this self-restriction. And I feel like this pain is something that definitely restricts you. Maybe you feel like a lot of the methods or a lot of the ways you wanted to do things or the ways you wanted to transcend and learn about yourself were kind of frowned upon or very scarce in terms of resources, so it's hard to learn how to do it. But it's just like you need to understand that you can very much cultivate your own transcendence and spiritual awakenings because you have everything with you. You have all the ingredients, you just need the recipe, but you need to write your own recipe, pile 3, because in being such a unique individual and a unique energy, there is very little out there for the world to give you in terms of being able to transcend and learn. So don't take it like, I feel like maybe with this 10 of swords you kind of took it personally, pile 3, but it's about getting over that your higher self has done. It's about getting over your differences. That's been a huge theme in all of these readings today. So much earth energy today. But I feel like there's just this sense of like I feel like people are always imposing their own beliefs and their own methods upon others, as if it's the one size fits all kind of vibe, you know what I mean? And it's just like, that's not how it works. We're all too different. We all come from different walks of life. And because of that, we all have to have like a hand in when it comes to working on our spiritual journey. And I feel like pile 3, you need to understand that you may have to put more than just a hand in because you're so different and so special. And your higher self is kind of like a beacon for that. Your higher self is literally paving a trail for others like you. I feel like your higher self is able to nurture those around them that just feel just as confused and hurt or alienated. Your higher self is such an inclusive, forgiving, nurturing energy. Like acceptance comes very easily to your higher self, even even anyways. But yeah, I just feel like your higher self, like, I'm just gonna wrap up this reading by saying, before I say a higher self for 50 more times, I'll say one more time though, maybe 5 more times. But your higher self is very intelligent and it's able to avoid problems altogether because those problems have already been dealt with, you know what I mean? And it's just like, you have no time for that. Your higher self is such an inclusive energy and it's able to overcome all self-imposed or externally imposed barriers by skipping through it, just as a deer would. A deer doesn't hunt, it doesn't kill things for defense, it just runs away. And because of that, I'm not saying that like you're running away from your difficulties or anything, but rather you're able to expertly navigate them and kind of like skid through them without having to deal with getting hurt or overly martyred. And it's just like, I feel like that's your energy, pile 3, just able to gracefully deal with problems and deal with the issues that, or like blockages that you may have been faced with. And it's just like being able to expertly rise above them and get through them with such serenity and grace. It's like there isn't a moment where your higher self isn't just treading through life with absolute beauty and ease. But yeah, it just seems as if though, obviously because of how unique you are, you faced a lot of pain and a lot of backstabs or like betrayals from those you may have thought were similar to you or like were trying to help you overcome these blockages, but in reality they were the blockages. Like they became the blockages. And through overcoming your own blockages, you will also not only overcome the blockage itself, but you'll also stop attracting people that are like constantly imposing themselves upon you or trying to like keep you back. Just like you don't have to deal with that anymore, pile 3. And let me just like not acknowledge this 9 of Pentacles again. Like, this card is literally beautiful. It's gorgeous. Like, you're able to literally cultivate and like water your own garden, pile 3. And because of that, you really have a beautiful way of providing and walking about life. Like you have this reservoir where you're able to take from it and rejuvenate yourself and also rejuvenate others. I'm thinking of like Chansey from Pokemon, like that egg it holds, it gives it to other people as like happiness, and it's just like it always has an egg. But anyways, yeah, pile 3, that's really all I have for you. if you want to look into astrology, I highly recommend like Cafe Astrology, or like there's this website where it's called like you can look up sun moon combinations, and it's like purple stars as a logo or something. And yeah, just look at all the apps and stuff. Really get into it if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching. Like and comment, subscribe, because I'm a freaking YouTuber. Yeah. I hope it resonated too. This is my first time ever doing readings like this, but it was so much fun. I hope it did resonate, and I hope you liked it. So before I say thank you so much for watching, like, comment, subscribe, because I'm a YouTuber. I love you. Like, before I say that 5 million more times, I'm gonna end it here. Bye.